Now that you have read and annotated your story, it's time to start the planning process for your Central Flix project with your group. So today you will receive a packet, one packet per group, and a folder. You'll keep those in the classroom. And you will begin working on each page of this packet. It is going to be due on Monday by the end of class. Whether you're in the half block or full block, it will be due on Monday. So on page 3 of the packet, you need to write down your group members' names. It's okay if you skip the email and phone number. That was something we used in the past, but you would be able to access emails even if you just had someone's name. So you could do first and last name of the group members. Then you move on to the meeting process. Yours looks a little bit different than this one. This is an older version of the packet, but you are going to write down who will facilitate the meetings, who's going to keep the group on track and refocus if it's off track. You can put someone's name, and who will be in charge of accurate note-taking, writing in the packet, sending reminder emails, and other things. So put down the name of who is your note taker in your group. It would be ideal if the same person wrote in the packet the whole time, and you would probably pick someone that's good at listening and neatly writing things. It is fine if you share the work, but you can note that in that spot on the page. Then final decisions. After discussing ideas in your group, how are you going to make final decisions? You can choose unanimity. That's a hard word. That means that you need it to be a unanimous vote, and that would mean everyone in the group needs to vote yes. So for example, if you're picking an actor or actress, if everyone agrees on it, then you move forward. That's what you would choose. Majority means 50% or more of people in the group agree on and vote yes to make decisions. And then finally, dictatorship. That's when one person makes the final call. You and your group can discuss what decision-making process you want to use. And then finally, there's a contract. You're going to sign your name. By signing below, you agree to work collaboratively with your group, speaking kindly to all group members, and completing any work assigned to you individually. If you break this contract, your teacher is able to assign an alternative project to you. You can sign your name on the line. All right, and next you're going to put down the name of your story and the author, and make sure everyone in the group has read and annotated that. There was a submission for your annotation, so make sure everyone got that sent in, but record the name of your story and the author. And then work together as a group to write a very short plot summary of the story. What are the main things that happened? Who are the main characters in the original story that you read? What's the theme and the mood? Mood is the feeling the story gives us, or the feeling the author wanted us to have, and the theme of the story. And finally, what questions or thoughts are you having about the story? So are there any unanswered questions? For example, for the chaser, we ask, what happened to the woman? What happened to Diana? What happened before the story? What's Alan's backstory? And how did he know of that place to go get the love potion? So you can write down some things you're curious about or some initial thoughts about the story. Next, you and your group moves on to start re-envisioning the original story. So this is where you're making some choices about your Central Flix project. So you and your group members would get to decide, and again, this page on the screen is a little different from on your paper. You have two choices. Do you want your Central Flix project idea to be a full-length movie or a TV show with multiple episodes? Okay, so you can pick either one. Remember, you're not actually making it, you're just coming up with the idea. And whichever one you choose, make sure you have some reasons behind that. Remember, people are listening to your movie pitch to invest money in your idea. And which one do you think would be the best for your story, and which one do you think would make these people the most money? And then you can choose your genre and your mood. So make sure you agree as a group what you're picking. There are ways that you could choose multiple of the genres. but just make sure it's going to make sense. And then there is a space if you want to choose other and write it in. You can look up other movie genres online or do some research if you need to. Finally, the mood. Make sure your mood is going to match whatever genre you picked. For me and the other teachers' pretend project, we picked romantic comedy, and so the mood is going to be goofy. If you pick sci-fi, you probably wouldn't pick the mood of goofy because that doesn't really match. So think of a mood that matches. There's a teeny tiny mood wheel, but you could look up different moods by just Googling moods and choose one that your group agrees on. And then you can put what is the general setting of your new re-envisioned story. Okay, so now we're making some changes. You can decide if it's going to stick to the same setting or you would change it, but make sure that it's matching your genre and the other decisions that you're making. You need to pick a time period. So is it present day or in the past or in the future? What location is it taking place in? And then you could even put the season that it's taking place in or time of day. But make sure you give some detailed answers there. And then talk and record as a group. What are the primary changes you're going to be making from the original text? You need to explain how exactly your movie will be different from the original text. So for ours, we said we are changing the genre and mood of the story. However, we plan to answer all the unanswered questions the audience has from the original. So that was one of the things that was really important for us to change. We had all those questions about Diana and what Alan was like before this story and how did he know where to go for the love potion. We're going to try to answer those questions with our Central Flix project. All right, and then your movie vision, you have some space to write an answer as a group. Summarize your plan for the project in 2 to 3 sentences. This should include the title of the story, genre, basic plot, and any major changes you want to make. So we said we are changing the genre and mood, we said the main character starts to see that his girlfriend is spending too much time with his best friend. So he decides to give her a love potion to ensure their love remains. Things get mixed up and Alan realizes their love was perfect all along, but at that point, it is too late. Okay, so that's the overall idea for our story. When you're ready, you can move on to your target audience. You can circle one or more. We chose teenagers and adults because of our genre and the ideas that we were having, and then record what other factors we are going to consider, of who would watch our movie. And so we said that any gender would be interested in watching our movie because of how we're going to set it up. And then possibly people in the dating scene would be interested in our movie. Like it would be a good date night movie for couples. And then explain why the specific chosen audience will enjoy your movie more than another. So we said the chosen audience will enjoy the movie because they can relate to the humor and are in the same stage and age as the characters. So make sure you record a detailed answer there. All right, when your group is ready, you're moving on to the actual idea of what's going to happen in your movie or TV show. Remember, we're not making it, but we still need to have an idea of what is going to happen in our movie or TV show in order to pitch our idea. So first you put the title of the production. We're going to keep the title of our pretend movie pitch. We're going to keep it the same, The Chaser, because we thought that was a pretty good name. You can definitely change the name or keep it the same as your story title. A log line is a 1 to 2 script summary. This is kind of like what would be in a trailer, and it's meant to grab people's attention. For example, in The Lion King, the log line is Lion Cub and future King Simba searches for his identity. His eagerness to please others and penchant for testing his boundaries sometimes gets him in trouble. So it's meant to grab people's attention. You would also see a log line when you hover over a movie on Netflix. It gives you a tiny little description to grab your attention. That's where you would find a log line. So our log line is an insecure man seeks solutions for his failing relationships. When a Halloween party goes wrong, what will he learn about the meaning of love? Okay, so it's just a 1 to 2 very short attention-grabbing summary. Then you move into a summary of your movie. So this is going to take you some time, and you'll have to really make sure that you're making decisions together as a group. So discuss, what's going to happen first, what's going to happen next, and then next and next and next. You need to have good details, because who's going to want to invest money in a movie or TV show idea that it's really unclear what's going to actually happen in the movie. Make sure what happens matches up with all the other decisions you have made. Make sure what's happening matches up with the genre, with the mood, with your audience, and all of those things. Okay, you can decide how you're going to write down this information. You could do it in a list like we did. You can make like a flow chart or use a plot diagram to do that, but I want to see some good details in there. And if you need extra space, you could add a piece of paper or do sticky notes or anything like that. So here's our summary of our movie idea. Alan and Diana have had some moments recently that make Alan nervous. Diana will break up with him. Diana is hiding texts from him and spending money with no explanation, so he is suspicious of Diana. Alan calls his mom for advice. She tells him to go see her friend Jeff, the potion master. Alan goes to this pharmacy to buy the medicine or the potion. Alan brings the pill home and begins to worry where to keep it, as he realizes Diana is throwing him a surprise party. Finally, he decides to put it in an Advil container in the bathroom to keep it safe. So now he's unsure what to do with his love potion or pill. And so he just hides it in an Advil container for later. Chad, Alan's best friend, has a headache at the party and needs Advil. So he goes and he accidentally takes the potion pill by mistake. Chad ends up falling in love with Alan. So it's like when you take the pill, the first person you see is who you're obsessed with. And so accidentally his best friend takes this pill, and then his best friend comes out of the bathroom at this party and sees Alan. And so then they're in love. Alan goes to the pharmacy to get a remedy, but there is no reversal medicine. So Alan has to tell Diana the truth. Chad falls in love with Jeff, now the potion person, because Chad has gone to see the potion person with Alan. And stops the love potion because he found the love of his life. And then Diana ends up leaving Alan in the end. So you can see how this kind of sticks to some of the plot with the love potion, with some of the same characters. But since we chose romantic comedy, we had to make it funny, and we had to have a little more romance in there. We even kept many character names the same. But made some little changes to make it more interesting. So the theme of our story, then, you need to record a theme. What you want can sometimes have unintentional consequences. So he wanted something, but in the end, there were consequences to what he wanted that he didn't even know were going to be a problem. All right, and then we will be saving the group responsibilities and roles for later. I'll give you some more explanation to that, but you need to go get started on all these pages. Ready, set, go.